How you doing? Welcome to the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. This is your host Cody Potter. How y'all doing today? We're going into day 3 of Commanders training camp, so we're going to report on a couple things that we've gotten over the first couple days. Show a couple clips of highlights and things like that have been going on in camp, and just talk about what we're hearing, the rumors and things like that. We got the Terry contract. I said I'm not really going to talk about it, but it is a thing. He is in Virginia, things like that. They're probably, it's the holdout. It is what it is. Eventually, I think the deal gets done. I've said that time and time again, so I'm not going to spend no time on that. But there are a couple players and things that I wanted to talk about and, get going. Just a couple clips that I wanted to show, man, just talking about things. We do know one thing. We got Deebo Samuel in here. And it's gonna be one of those things, man. You got Jayden Daniels dropping a dime to him right there, things like that. We're working through camp and stuff like that, and I don't know, man. I think Jayden Daniels is that dude. I think you can call me a homer, you can call me biased, man, but everything that I saw on field, man, I've never really seen a rookie perform the way that he did. He's just consistent, man. You talk about the fourth quarter comebacks, can you live or die by that? But I think a lot of that had to do with defense. I think the kid's special, man. I think he just offers things to this team that just really go understated, man. And I think as you get into camp and you got him working, people talk about the sophomore slump and things like that, man. It just seems like this kid has a work ethic that is just like second to none, man. He does the virtual reality. If you go back to LSU, man, you just watch this dude ascend from everything that you saw him doing at ASU, where he didn't have the weapons that he had at LSU. I just expect another big year from Jayden Daniels, man. Just from the feet, from the pocket, on the run, throwing the ball. I think we improved so much on this team, man. I think the offensive line is going to be a big thing. That's one of the standouts that I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to talk about that while we're going over some clips from training camp, just practice stuff. Dan Quinn came out yesterday before camp, the day 2, and was talking about how the offensive line, they want to be a team that competes first in the trenches. Teams that are tough in the trenches, man, they're hard to beat. And that's where the games are won and lost. And see Laramie Tunsil here going through practice, man. This dude is a huge human being, man. And then, you think about the first round pick with Josh Connerly. Again, I've stated multiple times I didn't think he would be there for us. I think he just fits perfectly to a T. Exactly what you're looking for. From an offensive tackle. He's going to be our right tackle this year. He's going to ultimately line up next to Sam Cosmi when Sam Cosmi comes back. We've gotten really, really positive reports from Sam Cosmi from camp, talking about his rehab and things like that. For getting hurt in the divisional round of the playoffs, tearing your ACL and being on pace to, start week 1, Dan Quinn didn't say that, but he said, it looks really good and there is a possibility of him starting week 1. So, barring any setbacks, I think in a month you're going to have a much more indicative report on what Sam Cosmi is going to be as far as if there's no setbacks. Is he going to be ready for week 1? That would be huge, man. I expected him before week 4. If you get Sam Cosmi back playing next to Josh Connerly Jr., man, that's only going to elevate the offensive line even more. A couple other standouts that I wanted to talk about were Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos, man. Both of them are starting outside. They've been lining up outside. They've been getting all the first-team reps. It sounded like Marshawn Lattimore had a really, really good day yesterday on 11-on-11. He had 2 pass breakups and then a pick, and then he ran the ball down the sideline by Dan Quinn, and he said A.J. Brown can't run, man, and Dan Quinn laughed. So, seeing Marshawn Lattimore, motivated and all the things like that, man, that makes me really happy because I know Marshawn Lattimore can play, man. He's a stud. And then Trey Amos, they said he's had a bunch of pass breakups and things like that, man. They say he's jumping routes and getting in the way. You see the athleticism and things like that, man, and that's something you never had a question with, man. So you're going to hear about Mikey Samerstill in the slot and things like that. And you're just, like I said, man, the defensive back position is going to be the position that I think carries this defense because Dan Quinn's always had an opportunistic defense. Same with Joe Witt. These guys like to get turnovers. They like to get the ball back to their offense. They might give up some yards. They might give up a couple big plays, man, but they're going to get their hands on the ball and they're going to get the ball back for the offense, man. And, that's going to elevate Jayden Daniels in itself, man. You give this guy more opportunities, man. You're talking about possibly blowing teams out, man, because teams really had a hard time answering last year. We had a lot of comeback wins, man, but we were going tit for tat with every team that we played. Like I said, the only game that we were really out of last year because we got off to such a slow start, which was Jaden Daniels' first real big game against an elite level defense or a top tier defense that also had an offense that was top tier. It was a complete team, and the Ravens were the first roster that I think offered that last year. We had a big game with the Bengals, and we went tit for tat with that offense. But everybody knows last year the Bengals defense was bleeding yards, they were bleeding scores, and Joe Burrow was putting up 35 points, and the team was still losing. So I think what it is when this defense can give more opportunities to Jaden Daniels, man, if they're actually competing and elevating their game. And, man, this team has an offense that I think is really, really, really just going to be second to none, man. And, I expect top three. I really do, man. I mean, you never know how injuries are going to stack up and things like that. But I really do see this team being very, very, very tough on offense. And then I wanted to talk about another player that I wanted to get into a highlight because we all know about B-Rob. We all know about Austin Ekeler, man. They're vets. We all know the impact that they're going to have on the field, but I think that this boy right here is going to have an impact this year, man. I keep hearing the reports. I keep seeing the clips from training camp, man. Ja'Cory Carlski-Merritt, man, 7th round pick, man. This dude is explosive. Didn't get to play his last year at Arizona, man. I've kind of already been over that, man. But this dude is a one-cut-and-go runner. He can catch the ball. He is super dynamic, man. Honestly, I think he gives you something that this offense did not have last year, no matter who the running back was, whether it was a healthy B-Rob or a healthy Austin Ekeler. This dude is just agile, man. He is got very good contact balance. He's explosive. He's just, man, if you get this guy in the open field, man, he can beat you from anywhere, man. He can turn one into 60. He can make a 5-yard tough run, like he runs through contact. Like, he is everything you want, man. And his vision is what I think is his best trait. Not just his contact balance and things like that, which is very, very, very good. I think his vision is what makes him dynamic. And I'm just very, very excited to see, you can't really, OTAs and things like that. They said he looked explosive, but you don't really get a feel for a guy until they put on the pads. They still haven't put on complete pads. So we're going to see, man. But I think once camp opens up, man, once this offensive line really gets humming and gets that continuity going, I think if B-Rob or Austin Ekeler, if they let this guy get on the field and get reps, which of course he's going to do because I think he's going to earn them in camp, and I think he's going to earn them through preseason. But, man, when this guy gets on the field, I think it's going to be very hard to take this guy off of the field because I know Cliff Kingsbury is going to go with the hot hand. But I have a really hard time seeing a world where by week 8, this guy isn't your hot hand. And I do think Austin Ekeler is going to have an impact, and I think B-Rob is still going to always be able to churn them tough yards, but he has never been able to sustain a full season without having nagging injuries. Can he hold up this year? If you add in this piece and add in Austin Ekeler and you use their usage together, the three of them, very evenly or whatever, I think they're all going to have a good impact. And I think the running game is the most important asset to not making Jaden Daniels have to run for 900 yards like he ran for last year. I think we know that Jaden Daniels is capable of it. We've seen that he's put on weight this offseason, man, but you want your run game predicated through your running backs. Yes, if Jaden Daniels drops back, we're in zone, defensive back turn, yes, make the play. Take the yards that are available for you, get down, protect yourself, things like that. Get out of bounds. But you got to have a run game. And last year, in the biggest moments in the biggest games against the good teams, man, you could just tell that this offensive line wasn't holding up in the point of attack against teams that had a really good defense, a defensive front, such as the Eagles, and the game was so much predicated in Jaden's hands, and that's why Jaden is special. But if you add in a truly dynamic run game with him, then you're talking about the type of run game that Lamar and Michael Vick used to have when you got running backs that can actually impact the game outside of what the quarterback gives you. I mean, we saw that back in the day with RG3, man, when he had Alfred Morris. When Alfred Morris carried that ball behind that line, they were picking up chunk plays, and you always had to worry about the threat of RG's legs. So that Jaden Daniels gives you some of that, but he also beats you from the pocket. So now you're talking about just opening things up in the passing game, and I think it's going to be very, very exciting seeing this run game, man, this year behind this offensive line with the additions of Connerly, having Brandon Coleman in at guard, man. You're talking about guys that are all 320 pounds plus, and they're all athletic. They're all elite level movers. From every one of them guys that I've scouted when they were coming out in all of their reports, every one of them I had really good pulling grades. Every one of them I had really good athletic grades. They all tested well to stack up to the numbers matched what you were seeing on tape with all those guys, and we got 5 of them guys. And then we have really good depth this year, which I think is going to be something that's very understated with the offensive line. Because last year, man, we didn't even have a complete, what I would call a complete roster from the offensive line. You had guys that you brought in free agency that, filled the holes, Nick Allegretti. But now Nick Allegretti is coming in off the bench, man, and he's not an elite level player, but he's a really solid pro. And then, you talk about, Trent Scott came in last year, played offensive tackle, swing tackle. He did a very good job in his reps. So, you're talking about guys that can come in and now play the position from the backup position that were actually starting for you last year. And then you got Wiley, who did a really good job last year. And this system really showed, because in years prior, he just wasn't the guy that, you want to be in your starting right tackle. And, Sam Howell was holding the ball, so he gave up a lot of sacks, but he is much better in the run blocking category anyway. And I just think that it's going to be very exciting to see this team do some things. And then there's one more guy that I really, really wanted to get into, because I'm just excited for this guy. I don't know when he pops. It could be this year, it could be next year, but I think this guy, Jalen Lane, is going to pop in this offense, man. They say he works extra with Deebo Samuel. He's always in constant communication with Deebo Samuel after each rep and talking to him and things like that. Didn't have a lot of catches at Virginia Tech, man, but the quarterback play was not very good. But as you see him right here, man, them up the seam plays from the slot, man, like this dude is a true burner. But then he's also a very similar player once the ball is in his hands on screens and things like that. You're seeing the punt return ability right here. Like, dude, I think this player is going to be very, very exciting for this team. And, like I said, I don't know when it pops. There's a lot of bodies at the wide receiver position. You got Ja'Cory Brooks from LSU, or from Louisville. He was a Bama commit coming out of high school that's been popping off really, really good in camp, but he doesn't bring the speed dynamic that this dude does. And there's always that undrafted late round camp guy that does really, really good, has probably a really good preseason, but they're not really good special teamers and things like that. But Jalen Lane is an excellent special teamer, has excellent body control. He is a physical freak, tested super, super well, but you see it on the field. Like, you see the speed, you see the juice, you see the run after catch ability, man. You see what he can do with the ball in his hands. You can see what he can do taking the top over the defense, and he tracks the ball very, very well, which is why I'm very excited to just talk about this guy, man. I'm not going to really do a long episode today, but I wanted to kind of get into a bunch of things that I'm hearing from camp. Like I said, the back end cornerbacks and the offensive line, things like that. I wanted to highlight these two rookies because I'm very, very excited about them. Everybody knows the Trey Amos. Everybody knows the Josh Connerlys, man. But these mid-round guys, man, I think they're going to excel in this offense, and I think they're going to have a bigger impact than maybe what most people are anticipating. And then, like I said, we haven't even talked Luke McCaffrey. We haven't even talked Ben Sinnott, and he's going to be good too, man. Like, he's a second-year player coming out of K-State. We always knew that he could run after the catch. He didn't get a lot of catches last year, but we saw a couple plays, especially towards the end of the year, the fake punt where Tress Way threw the ball to him in the playoffs. Dude, this team is really, really building the roster the right way. They're drafting really, really, really good football players in the mid to late rounds, and I think they're going to have an impact because that's the lifeblood of your organization, man. Like, yes, you have to hit on the first and second rounders, but when you're hitting on the Jalen Lanes, and you're hitting on the Ben Sinnotts, and you're hitting on the Mikey Samerstills, and you're hitting on the Jordan McGee's in the 5th round and things like that, if you can get any production from a 7th rounder, which I think Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt actually is a 3rd round player when I watch him on tape, maybe a 4th round player because of his age and things like that, and the running back position is devalued. Last year was a loaded class, so you had a bunch of guys, and that's a big reason why he fell, because he didn't play as much last year. But when you start stacking these type of talents, man, and then you can get the impact from these guys that I think we're going to get year 1, year 2, and so on when they're on their rookie deals, you're talking value players that allows you to go out and trade for the Laramie Tunsil's and things like that while Jaden Daniels is on that rookie contract, because you want to put as many established veterans around Jaden Daniels as you can in the most key and important positions while you draft and develop and infuse your roster with homegrown players. And we're on our way to doing that with Josh Connolly, the Brandon Colemans, and guys like that. Sam Cosmi still has plenty of time left in the tank. I think Laramie Tunsil is going to re-sign this offseason. Probably, honestly, mid-year. They're probably going to lock him up mid-season, man, honestly, just to get that handled and taken care of. But again, I just wanted to kind of break down the first couple of days of camp and just things that I've been hearing, things that I'm very excited about going forward. I think Deebo Samuel, man, like, this dude is rocked up, man. He's in really, really, really good shape, and I think he's going to have a hell of a year. again, I'm very excited to get Terry McLaurin back. I said I'm not going to talk about it, so I mean I'm not. But when that happens, man, I think him and Debo, man, and Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey. Then you got Zach Ertz, who we know is a consummate pro. Can he stay healthy all year? Can Ben Sinnott and Jesse Bates can not Jesse Bates, but your tight end Bates, can he give you a little bit of something, from the second tight end position? Can Ben Sinnott elevate his game this year, get the impact that you were expecting out of him as a second rounder? We haven't even talked Jerzon Newton, who's a guy that I really think is going to have a bigger impact. I think I've heard really good things from him from camp too. Javon Kinlaw, free agent addition, who everybody's been talking about, bust potential, man. This dude is huge, and he looks very, very explosive in all the clips that I'm seeing. So you get these guys refined, man, and then you got Von Miller, and you got the vets, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, man. I think you just have a really, really good rotation of pieces that are going to build continuity, get some production out of each of them. Everybody's a role player, and everybody's going to have their scheme as the season goes on, depending on who you're playing, what type of offense they run, and things like that. So there's just a lot to look forward for this team, man, and I'm very, very excited to see where they go going forward. So again, there's going to be a lot more episodes coming out, man. I'm going to do training camp as often as I can each day, as I can, if I can. And give you the reports I'm seeing. I'll be out there Sunday. I'm going to try to get some live videos and things like that to post for myself. And we'll just see how this goes, man. So, again, thank you guys for checking out the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. And this is your host, Cody Potter. And see you next time. Peace.